Steve Legend here, New Jersey Snake Man, and excited to share some of our critters with you. You can do a little bit different today. This is Snake Man and his scaly friends, but it is National Reptile Awareness Day. So we're going to make you aware of some of our favorite New Jersey reptiles. Many of them are snakes. Most of them are snakes. But we will maybe mention a few that are not snakes that we may or may not have. But I'm going to start with one that people see a lot. Many of you probably already know what this is. This is a garter snake. And I overpronounce that a little bit because I grew up calling it a garden snake. Many people do because people often find them in their gardens. They're very common around people. They even live in New York City. So they can do really well around people. This one you'll see is quite rotund because she just had a meal yesterday. So we're going to be real extra gentle and just put this one away and keep moving here. So that is a very common one you'll find here in New Jersey. So we will jump over to another one. People often mention black snakes that they find. And this is our black racer. And just like their name would imply, they are very, very fast. If I was going to say we had an aggressive snake in New Jersey, this is probably the one. Now this one is pretty calm and pretty chill because it's been with us a while. So you can see even our nasty snake, once they realize that we're not going to harm them, do not mean us any harm at all. Now you see they're very active. You can see those great big eyes. They're actually diurnal, active hunters during the day. And they're one of the few large snakes that are not constrictors. So these guys will just grab and swallow. Very, very quickly, even a mouse, and their prey will suffocate on the way down, or sometimes they'll kind of shake it around to kill it first. But pretty interesting because they can get over 6 feet long, so they're eating fairly large prey. These guys also love frogs, so you'll very often find these near like vernal pools and ponds, things of that nature, and you can find these throughout the entire state of New Jersey. Funny story, I actually was walking on Route 46, not on the highway, of course, but on the sidewalk, and a little baby one actually scurried right out over my foot. It was the most wild thing. But they look very different when they're babies. They're like brown and gray. Now, another black snake that people find probably more commonly is this one down here. And this is actually the largest snake we have in the state of New Jersey. And they can be a little nervous. They're actually very intelligent as far as snakes go. They do exhibit some mild problem-solving ability to get into different areas, which makes them a little difficult to keep because they can be escape artists. But this is a black rat snake. This is another one with a statewide distribution. They're one of the most cold-tolerant snakes, similar to the garter snake. They're another snake that goes all the way up into Canada. I believe you can find these in Central Park in New York as well, so they can do fairly well around people. As their name implies, they do like to eat rodents, but they are also very, very good climbers, and they will go after birds as well, which makes them kind of friend and foe to farmers, because they will go ahead and eat eggs. They will get in after chickens, so they can be, kind of friend and foe, because they'll eat the rodents that the farmers like to have gotten rid of. However, they will also sometimes get into chicken coops, and they are, again, very clever as far as snakes go and can problem solve their way in there. And one of the most popular snakes, pet snakes in the world, is the corn snake. And this one, most of them are quite friendly. This one is a little bit grumpy. We call him Mr. Grinch. But you can see that he is quite beautiful. My opinion, these are the prettiest snakes we have here in New Jersey. This is a corn snake. And they are not named because they live in cornfields. They don't eat corn. All snakes are actually carnivores. These guys are mostly rodent eaters. But it's actually because they're belly scales. Now you can see those belly scales are that checkered black and white pattern. And that looks a little bit like Indian corn. We're getting on Halloween time here. And Thanksgiving. That looks a bit like Indian corn or maize. And that's actually where they got their name from. But these guys, we are actually the northernmost part of their range. One of the cool things about the state of New Jersey is that we do have several snakes that just get into South Jersey as the northernmost part of their range. These guys like pine forests with sandy soil, so the pine barrens down in South Jersey are absolutely perfect for these guys. And they go all the way down to Florida, sometimes called a red rat snake, very common in places like North Carolina and Georgia. They are state endangered in New Jersey, so this color morph, we actually have to have a special permit through the state to keep these as an educational animal. They do come in a lot of different colors. I'll show you just very briefly. One of the more common ones is albino or amelanistic. But they come in a lot of different colors. Everything from lavenders and oranges to yellows. They have butterscotch corns. And this is an old female. This is an amelanistic snake. So you can see very similar, but doesn't have any of the black coloration. So even the belly scales are that pink color. And their eyes are even red. So you can always tell an amelanistic animal, they have those red eyes. I don't know if you guys can see that. So even those rats that you see in the pet store with the beady red eyes, amelanistic. I'll show you guys a couple of turtles that we have here in New Jersey. This is a common one that people see all the time. We have a few of these. This is, oh, hey, Eastern painted turtle that tried to take a nip out of my finger. So they are cute little buggers, and they get that name, the painted turtle, because of these beautiful color on the side they have. Now this one's a female. I want to see if I can grab you guys a male, because they have these long fingernails that they actually use to tell the females that they're interested. Let's see. Oh, this one's I think this is a male. Yeah, here we go. So you can see this one's nails are probably even longer than that last one, and he'll wave those in front of a female's face in order to say, hey, sweetheart, want to hang out? Oh, he's trying to take a little nip at me. So you can see these guys will defend themselves if they feel like you might threaten them, but they are pretty cute little buggers. Found the snapping turtle. This one was actually a rescue. We found this one buried in the sand in a playground. The females will actually come up. Certain times of the year, people will find them crossing the road a lot because they'll actually go near roads in order to lay their eggs. It's very interesting. I mean, you see they're kind of adorable when they're little. This one was about the size of a quarter when we found it, so it may have been the smallest of its litter. But you can see that really long neck and that big head, and they'll use that with very powerful jaws to go ahead and grab fish. And you can see their coloration on kind of a muddy bottom is going to blend in really well, so they're going to be virtually invisible. And then their biting is very, very fast. So they'll sit very still, wait for fish to come nearby because they can't see them, and then they'll go ahead and grab it. This one's just trying to get away from me. She's not even trying to bite right now. She's a little sweetheart. Hey, you. Whoop, hey. All right. They do start quite small, but they can get pretty big, as many of you have probably seen. And then now we are going to share with you my absolute favorite, and that is the northern pine snake. This big guy. This is a big male, and he's a little wiggly because he was all... There we go. Oh, yeah, he's a little wiggly there. So this is a northern pine snake, and they are my absolute favorite. They can get quite large. They can get over 7 feet long. So this one's a male, so he's not going to get that big, but the females can get over 7 feet long. My personal best was 6'9". They will hiss and strike the air. Very rarely do they bite. Occasionally they'll bump you with a closed mouth, but very, very rarely do they bite humans. These guys are great mousers, so they have a really fast metabolism for a snake. Compared to a similar sized corn snake or even black rat snake, they'll eat 2 to 3 times as often, which makes them really, really good for rodent population control. Their babies come out quite large. They have about a dozen eggs as opposed to a corn snake, which will have about 20 to 25. But their eggs are about the size of a chicken's egg. So quite large, and their babies can basically take down a mouse right out of the egg. So they don't need to go on lizards for a little while first. They can take down a full-grown mouse almost virtually right out of the egg, which is pretty wild. Makes them really awesome for us. But these guys are very active, very, very cool snakes. They have cousins out west that are not nearly as nice, the bull snakes, but these guys are really, really awesome. They come a lot of different colors too, but largely we have yellows and we have albinos as well. Now, a couple other snakes that we don't have exact New Jersey natives, but we do have a couple of representations of, is we do have a Puebloan milk snake. In New Jersey we have 2 types of milk snakes, the eastern milk snake as well as the coastal plain. Eastern milk snakes are probably one of the most common snakes that I get phone calls for because they do look a little bit like copperheads. They kind of have like a brown and tan sort of coloration to them. You can pretty clearly tell because they're banded and they don't have like that hourglass shape. Like a copperhead does. Coastal plain milk snakes are gorgeous. They're like a red and cream color down South Jersey. Absolutely stunning. We do have as well the eastern hognoses, which are super cool. They'll actually flatten themselves out like a cobra almost, which is super cool. We had one for a while that was a bright yellow color. They come in a lot of different colors as well. They're beautiful. They'll actually roll over and play dead, which is kind of interesting. Very well adapted for eating toads. They actually have enlarged teeth in the back of their mouth to pop a toad that'll puff up with air. We have eastern king snakes, which is another South Jersey snake that just gets, or I'm sorry, southern snake species that just gets into South Jersey. They're not endangered like the corn snake, but they are pretty cool. Now she thinks everything is food because king snakes are pretty opportunistic feeders as a whole anyway. Had a program recently, she tried to eat my wrist. So I'm gonna be a little careful. She's not aggressive or mean or anything, but she just thinks everything is food. So anything that comes near her mouth, she's gonna try and sample it real quick. But they also are snake eaters. So these guys are cannibals. Anytime you see the name king in a snake's name. Now the eastern king snake is gonna have a white, very thin white banding, different spots throughout its body. This is obviously Mexican black king snake, so it's entirely black. And then you'll have things like California king snakes, which have wider bands, but they're all very, very closely related. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that milk snakes are actually a member of the king snake family. They're all genus Lampripeltis, and they are also cannibals. So young milk snakes will actually eat on other, or feed on other young snakes. Try not to get bit on this video. But they'll eat other snakes until they're big enough to take down mice or sometimes lizards. But I'm going to go ahead and put her away before she tries to sample my hand again. But those are some really cool reptiles we have. We also have two different lizard species in New Jersey. The eastern fence lizard that many people know about. We also have five-line skinks, which are super fast, hard to find. I've only ever found one in New Jersey. Much more common down south, but they're pretty cool as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit of a longer video, and you guys got to see a little bit of the snake room, which I've always kind of wanted to share anyway, so I'm glad that happened. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, smash the buttons and all that stuff, and check us out next time on NJ Snake Man and his Scaly Friends.